11 o'clock, it is time for Legal Lane with your host, Vanessa Lane Jennings. Vanessa is an attorney here in Ocala. Let me push the button so we can see what she looks like. There she goes. Look at the smiley face. I'm checking her phone on something. You have a busy day. I know that because you just walked in at the last minute here. We were worried about you. But the phone lines are open. Right now, we are live on April 8th. If you want to call in, you are welcome to do so. 622-9622. Good morning, Vanessa.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Today has been a crazy day so far.
You have a crazy Facebook page.
That is a true story.
I went to your Facebook page, and there are some stories on there. Can I ask you about some of them?
Sure.
All right. The lady who got the April Fool's joke and shot her husband because he didn't, her boyfriend because he didn't really propose.
I think that was an April Fool's post. From somebody else.
Oh, okay.
But it made
so
for
that didn't really happen.
No, I don't think that one. Everyone else, all the other ones did. I think that that was an April Fool's joke.
So that one says that, just for the listener's sake, that he gets on his knees, gives her the ring. She opens it up, but it doesn't have a ring in it, but it says April Fool's, and then she shoots him in the chest and kills him.
That's right.
So you don't think that was real, huh?
That might happen, though.
I can see it happening, which is why we put it out there. If something like this did happen, if you had an April Fool's joke gone wrong, we can help out.
But let me ask you this.
Yes, sir.
In the courtroom, if you represented her and she doesn't deny this happening, do you play on, like, do we make him to be like a jerk so we're not so hard on her? So you know what I mean? Because that was a jerk. For the sake of this discussion, it was a real thing, okay?
Okay.
So for the sake of this discussion, he really does this. That is a very jerky thing to do.
That is.
It doesn't require a death sentence, though.
Well, I guess it depends on your perspective. Because I think the story goes into like a little bit of details. Like they've been dating 3 years, they were living together,
right.
And it was serious. And he kept talking about it at various points in time. So she was ready. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was serious for her. But
if that was real, you know what I would think? I would think, that, okay, you know what he was going to do next? He was going to really propose. Like the April Fool's joke. Or the April Fool's joke was an April Fool's joke, you know?
Right.
You know what I mean?
You know, but if it was a real story, my first question would be, why was there a gun on the couch? Because she only reached over for the couch.
Well, and I thought that too. I thought, what kind of family has a gun? Yeah. And then I looked, it says New York City. I thought, well, who knows? It doesn't have to be in New York, but it could be here in Ocala.
That's true. That might have been a shotgun. I mean, it might not have been a
regular handgun.
What was the other one that got our attention? Oh, this guy with the Uber down in St. Petersburg. This is a real story, right?
Yes.
He picks her up, and then for payment, she gives him oral sex.
Right. Apparently, you're not allowed to do that. Who knew?
Yeah, but it's the barter system, though. I mean, this.
Well, Robert's defending her.
The barter system.
Who are you defending, her or him?
Yeah, well, both of them.
Both of them? Well, they both got arrested, right?
They both did wrong there. They both did wrong according to law. Now, the funny thing, I like that, Robin. You can tell that you're all for this. You're like, whatever happens. But, you know, that goes back to there's certain things you can't barter. Mm-hmm. And if you do get in trouble for your bartering, that's why we're there. We help out.
But that kind of a case, does that really harm you in the long run? I mean, it might harm your reputation with your wife or your family, but legally speaking, does it harm you in any way? It's $500 he got out of, and it doesn't seem like a big deal for the legal system. They don't really care, right?
Well, it depends what kind of job you have. I mean, he's an Uber driver, but you don't know what he did.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I don't mean that like he's only an Uber driver. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm saying, you know, it's not like he's working for...
He's not a priest.
Well, there's that. But there's certain agencies like nurses. Nurses can't have any blemish on their record, or they get they can. I was gonna say disbarred, but they don't get disbarred. They get their license taken away. So, and that's serious. So it depends on what kind of career the person's in. Because some of my clients come in and say, look, whether I did it or whether I didn't do it, whether it's small or whether large, doesn't matter. This is the ramification of this.
Cool. So,
and some of them are silly reasons why they even, went to jail. Like for instance, I had a case about 3 years ago where a nurse was breaking up with her boyfriend, got mad, threw something at his car windshield, and broke it. And he called the cops for criminal mischief. Now in reality, that would, it was just a bad day. Mm-hmm. And his insurance covered it. She paid the deductible, but he was still going forward with it. and that would make her not have a job because they
Right.
said
Okay.
they said
so
anything that happens, you're going to be gone.
Oh my gosh, that
So
doesn't seem fair.
It doesn't, but I mean, she did break his windshield.
So if the Uber driver had picked up a masseuse and the barter would have been a neck rub, that would have been okay?
Sure.
The police don't care if you give a ride for a neck rub?
Well, a neck rub is legal. That's okay. Paying or bartering for sex, legally not okay.
It's an interesting world we live in, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let me look at you on Facebook. You have a very entertaining Facebook page. Can I solicit people to go to your Facebook page and like it?
Absolutely.
How many likes do you have right now? You're going to get a lot of likes.
I think it's 279 or 280.
Jennings Law Firm PA. That's the website I'm on.
That's
I mean the Facebook page I'm on.
Yep. No, they're more than welcome to go on there. I try to make it as entertaining as possible because if I'm not
very entertaining.
If I'm not entertained, I just I ignore it. But I try to find the craziest of stories that I possibly can.
Oh, we actually had a question. I almost forgot to ask you. The question was I don't remember who asked the question, but they wanted to ask you. Hold on, I'll think of it in a second. So a civil, if you want to sue somebody
in civil court
for money in civil court, do you need a lawyer?
No.
No. Do you recommend a lawyer?
Yes.
Okay.
Civil has so many rules. I mean, criminal has a lot of rules, but criminal you can kind of figure your way through if you really wanted to. You have more on the line, I think, in a criminal because it's your life. You can end up in jail.
Can I tell you mine? I actually sued somebody one time.
You did?
I did.
Who'd you sue?
I don't want to say.
Okay, that's fine. I don't want to know.
But it was a local restaurant.
Oh, it was local. Okay.
Yeah.
Was it over a salad bag?
No.
You got a good mind.
I don't know if you
memory.
know. I don't know if you know this about me, but when I still do music, and I know you know that. But when I was younger, I was a guitar playing, singing guy, and I would play bars.
Okay.
Okay, so I had a gig here in Ocala, and I had a contract with them, and I would come in every night, and it worked well. Then the restaurant sold. Okay, so halfway through my contract, now I have a new owner who says, "Thank you, we're going to change the flavor of the place. You got to leave." And I said, "Well, then you got to pay me for the rest of the contract. Otherwise, I'm out of a job for 4 weeks." I think it was 4 weeks I still had on the contract. "No, we don't owe you anything." So I said, "Oh my gosh, that's crazy. I have to get this. I have to pay my bills, right?" So I went to an attorney on Silver Springs Boulevard. It was a lady attorney. I can't remember her name, but she was so good, right? And she said, "Oh, this is a no-brainer. Don't worry, we'll take care of it." Long story short, we went to court to like an office. We didn't have like a courtroom with a jury or anything. And the judge ordered him to pay 3 times as much as I was asking for, which I think was $400. Or no, 4 times $400, so $1,600.
Yeah.
So 3 times that. 3 times that.
You had a good day in court.
No, I didn't. I mean, I did. I did because I got the money, but the attorney got the other 2/3. That's the way that went.
That's the way that went. Yeah, it's not the Jennings law firm.
What's that?
It's not the Jennings law firm, she said.
Oh, no.
She won't
Well, I didn't
think
think it was unfair. I really didn't. I figured that she had the credentials like yourself. I mean, she went through a lot of school to be able to do what she did. I mean, all I learned how to do was play a few chords, on the guitar.
But I can't play chords, so I'm,
Okay.
Everyone has different skills. Mine was sitting in a classroom learning.
But she had to do whatever she had to do, and I didn't matter to me as long as I got my money. It didn't matter to me. And the guy was forced to pay it, and I ended up getting my whatever it was, $1,600. Yeah, back in those
Bills got
days.
paid.
Huh?
Your bills got paid. I like it.
Yeah. So I went to the civil court over something, but had I gone by myself and didn't have an attorney, chances I wouldn't have won. Or do you think I would have? Do you think the judge would have said, "Yeah, you owe this guy"?
More than likely. I mean, the problem is they treat somebody who doesn't have an attorney with them as if that person themselves is the attorney. So it becomes a little bit hairy because I've gone against people who didn't have an attorney. So my client, of course, hired me, and then the other side, no one's there. So I object to something as they're presenting, evidence or testimony. They don't know why the judge sustains it and says, "Yep, that objection's absolutely correct." They don't know why.
Yeah, really.
And they don't know how to get around it. Because a lot of times it's something so small. Like if they had just done one thing. Or, we say objection, proper foundation hasn't been laid. They don't know how to go back to lay the foundation, and the judge isn't going to tell them. The judge is like, that's not my job.
Oh.
And it's not. And their job is to be a trier of fact, not a law professor. So
that is an important thing for everybody to hear. So if you're filing a civil suit against somebody, maybe you can give us some examples of what people file lawsuits for. But the point you're trying. So let me get to the point about the money, if you don't mind.
Yes, no, I do not mind.
Okay. Because I think a lot of people say, okay, they only owe me $75. I feel stupid going to court. So if you go to court with a lawyer, based on the formula the attorney I had used, it would be 3 times 75.
Well, it depends. It depends what the statute says, how much you can recover. In civil theft cases, if you claim it's been civil theft has what's called treble damages, and that's 3 times the amount.
That's theft, though.
Right, but there's different types of civil thefts. Sometimes if she argued that withholding that money from you because of that breach of contract was a civil theft case, I don't necessarily know if it would rise to level, but if she did, that's the approach she went, then you're going into treble damages. If it's an elderly person who's being taken advantage of, that there's a statute out there so they can get treble damages. So it just depends on what type of statute you're getting and whether or not that statute allows attorney's fees. So sometimes that's even allowed in there. Court costs, attorney's fees, right. So it just depends on what type of case you're going for. And you have to plead in your original pleadings that you want certain things.
But ultimately, if you win, you're going to get what you lost. And if
theoretically.
And if you don't win, then you owe your attorney.
Yeah. Well, it depends on how your attorney was hired. Because there's some attorneys who take cases on contingency fee, which says depending on, I get a part of your outcome, and you don't have to pay me if I don't win. But that's very rare in a civil case, because civil cases take a lot of work.
Oh, so but people still have to pay for the court and everything, right?
Well, yes, they're still going to have to pay the filing fees, the service fees, all the other fees that are out there, and all the costs.
So can you add that to what you're asking for?
In certain cases, absolutely.
By the way, just so something, because I was just remembering, because this was so long ago, I was way skinnier, just so you know. And anyway, so I remember I got a job like really quick after that, so I was really only out of work for 2 weeks. And I actually said that to the judge. I said, look, I don't really need the whole amount. I just need the amount that I lost for those 2 weeks. So that's why in my mind the number wasn't that high. Yeah. And they went along with it. They said, okay, we'll reduce the lawsuit amount.
And that's what they should have done, because it's only what you're actually out of.
Yeah. If you have a question for Vanessa, this is a good time to call. We're going to take a break. The number is 622-9622. 622-WOC. We'll take the break right now and be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. Nice day with sunshine today. High 80 at the coast, 86 inland. Partly cloudy Friday night, lows ranging from about 50 inland to 59 along the coast. Saturday, sunshine and a bit cooler, the high 73 to 77. And on Sunday, partly sunny, high 76 to 80. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Here's what you may have missed on the John Tesh Radio Show.
The ambient blue light from street lamps is basically as bad for your sleep as using a smartphone or tablet before bed. It means a judge could end up deciding to split all of your property 50-50, even if you were the one who actually paid for everything. That's why he says all unmarried couples should have a cohabitation contract. A woman who dangles her handbag from the crook of her arm, for example, is seen as confident, self-assured.
Intelligence for your life on the John Tesh Radio Show. Don't miss this stuff.
Hospice of Marion County has an urgent need for volunteers to share a conversation with someone, run errands, hold someone's hand. All you need is a willingness to help others. Our volunteers believe the blessings they receive far exceed the services they offer. Will you consider serving, caring, and making a difference? Call today, 873-7441. Hospice of Marion County, making more moments of life possible.
Hi, this is Vanessa Lane Jennings with the Jennings Law Firm, located here in beautiful Ocala. Join me every single Friday at 10:30 for Legal Lane. We'll be discussing various legal topics such as family law, criminal law, contracts, and much more. So this is your chance to call in with your legal questions and have them answered. That's every Friday, 10:30, right here, WOCA, The Source.
Yeah, this is the time to call. And that is Vanessa right there. Vanessa Lane Jennings in the studio right now. If you have a question, you got a good 10 minutes to have an answer. And that may not be enough time to give a complete answer, but I would recommend seriously going down to see Vanessa Lane Jennings at her office. But the number right now is 622-9622. I like the calls because then we learn from them a little bit, you know.
I love callers.
What is your address? How do we get a hold of you?
Our address is 2945 Northeast 3rd Street, Ocala, Florida, 34470. Our phone number is area code 352-804-0092.
And you're on the second floor, it says.
We are on the second floor.
I like that. I always want to be on the second floor. You can look out.
I don't think I ever look out our windows.
You don't look out the window?
I think the window's to my back. It is to my back.
I would turn around all the time. I'd be daydreaming all the time. I wouldn't get anything done. I don't get anything done here. Good morning. You got your head something. Good morning. You're on the air with Vanessa.
Yes, good morning, and I really enjoy your show, and thank you for being on the air. It's very informative, and it's great listening.
Oh, thank you.
See, it's generally known that lawyers take a third of the winnings of any particular case. How was that ever established as 1/3, and can a lawyer, let's say I'll take a quarter of it rather than a third, would he be in trouble with other lawyers?
No. What you're talking about is contingency fee cases. The maximum, and we're talking up to $1 million verdict because it's actually a tiered process, how much you can take, but up to $1 million recovery, your attorney is allowed to in the state of Florida take 1/3. But when you go and sit down with that attorney, you have to sign a contract for a contingency fee case. So when you sit down with the attorney, you negotiate and you say, that's the max you're allowed to take. What is the least you're willing to take? And then you enter into a negotiation of sorts.
Are there other states that are different than the 1/3 rule?
Yes, every state has different rules. So so you have to figure out what in your state, but in the state of Florida, it is 33 1/3 is what you're going to be the attorney would be taking. For example, in a personal injury case, that is the standard. Everyone normally does 33 1/3, but you're allowed to negotiate. You go down and say, look, I've talked to other attorneys. There's some who's willing to take 30%. Are only going to take 30%.
Okay, very good. So it's a negotiated item that you can put out a bid out there and try to get the best price. Just like buying a car, I guess.
That's right. You could buy a car. You could buy an attorney that way.
Very good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
Okay.
Have you ever had to work with attorneys out of state on out of state cases?
Yes.
And how do they invite you to do that?
I have a personal injury case where the accident occurred in Florida, but they live in Indiana. And it's that particular case, someone I went to law school with, and they knew me. So they said, hey, you're in Florida. Do you want this case? And they called up and said that. But there's been other attorneys who I haven't worked with who've, either asked around or they've tried to find an attorney in Florida, and they make their way to whomever they can find. And then they give you the case normally. Oh
my gosh. Is that harder for you?
No.
To work out of state?
Well, I don't work out of state. I normally do. The incident occurred in Florida.
Oh, okay.
Normally.
So they would come in to you then
Right.
and work with you.
Or the defendant lives in Florida. Sometimes the incident occurred out of Florida, but they have to sue in the state of Florida.
Oh, okay. That's fascinating.
Are there ever any things in the news by our legislators that would affect the law that if these people had been lawyers before they became elected officials, they would never do that? Does that strike a bell for anything for you?
Not in particular, but
No?
with everything.
With everything?
With everything.
You think that all the time, in other words?
Well, there's a lot of things that the legislator does, and through no fault of their own, they don't think of necessarily once it's implemented, how that's going to have a ramification on the system as a large, which goes into not every aspect of life, including law.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't think of one off the top of my head. I will think of one for
Well,
you.
there was one that came up yesterday on the afternoon show, on Buddy Martin's show. They were talking about how, because there's a movie at the Springs, the film festival
Yes,
on Sunday called Vaxxed.
Yes.
Okay.
I am going to that.
So they were talking about, I think it was Buddy Martin's daughter who said that here in Florida you can sign a thing that says I opt out of the vaccine requirement.
Correct.
And so therefore your children can go to school. But she now lives in California, Buddy's daughter, and she said in California, the legislators made it so you can't do that. You are forced to have the vaccines, otherwise the kids can't go to school.
Yeah.
So that sounds like legislators who don't really know the implications of what their decisions are.
It's also California.
Oh, they're
So they
pretty
do a lot
lax.
of that.
No, and at least in law school, it's the 9th Federal Circuit, and anything happened in the 9th Circuit, everyone kind of ignored. They're like, they're their own.
Really?
They're their own beast. Things start out there and slowly make their way this way, but that's
Like the Zika virus.
I was speaking more in legal terms, but yes, sure, we can use that. But they do. They start new trends and new ideas out there, and that slowly makes their way this way. But that's with the vaccinations. That's not necessarily a new trend. There's other areas who've done that. But that gets into, is Florida in the wrong? Because did Florida's legislator, not think it all the way through, or did California's legislator not think it all the way through? Is it better to have sick children running around, or is it better to give people the freedom of choice?
Yeah, I mean, you can argue that you need the vaccines, or you could argue that they're not good for you. But the real issue is freedom. I mean, that's what this country has found. That's a constitutional thing,
right? And it also goes to where your freedoms affect
Infringe
somebody
else.
else's freedoms.
Okay.
So your freedom ends where mine begins.
So there could eventually be a law that says if you show up at work with a cold, you could be arrested.
I believe that would be some type of extreme society.
Can you imagine that? You have to stay home?
Well, there's certain schools, private schools, that have similar rules. Like, if you're sick, don't come to school. Keep your kid at home. Or daycare, keep your kid at home.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
I've heard of that. Has being an attorney changed over the years? I mean, are the rules still the same from, like, day one?
No. They change all the time.
Oh.
But that's the fun and exciting part, though. Because then you're continually learning.
Well, how do you know that? How do you know that the rules are changed? Do you go to school to...
We take continuing education classes. There's, the Florida Bar offers one that's the year in recap. So you get, the year ahead. So you get the year behind and the year ahead.
Is the Florida Bar, is it a wet bar or a dry bar?
It is definitely a dry bar. They have no sense of humor.
Can you take the bar exam in another state, too? I mean, since you're an attorney in Florida, would it be beneficial to take the bar exam in another state?
If you're going to be working in that state, you would need to. Unless you're just doing one case. And then there's a fancy term called pro hoc vici, where you just show up and you do one case through another attorney who lives in that state.
Oh, okay.
But most of the time, if you're going to work in another state, you're going to need to go and get their bar. Florida's a very I don't want to say this nicely. They're very stern with their rules, and they do not allow reciprocity, which means they don't accept bar membership from other states. So that means other states don't accept Florida's. So you have to sit for the bar exam.
Oh, okay.
Got excited there.
You are so fascinating. I just enjoy you coming in.
We ran out of time
adore
before
you.
we ran out of questions. Vanessa, again, give your phone number, please.
It's area code 352-804-0092.
Call us if you need that number repeated, and please share the video with somebody who might need the services of Vanessa. Vanessa Lane Jennings, Legal Lane. Thank you so much, Vanessa.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages.